I shouldn't be alive to tell you this. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back there, under the city, in the dark, where the air tastes like rust and secrets. If you're listening to this, please don't go looking for what I found. It started as an urban exploration trip. I'd read about an abandoned transit tunnel beneath the old district, a labyrinth of stone arches and sealed chambers built more than a century ago. People whispered about strange echoes down there, about voices when no one's around. I didn't believe any of it. I just wanted footage for my channel, grim aesthetic, easy clicks. The entrance was hidden behind a broken grate near a crumbling stairwell. The moment I stepped through, the temperature dropped. My breath fogged in front of me, even though it was a warm night above ground. The smell hit me first, damp concrete mixed with something metallic and sweet, like blood that's been left to dry. I switched on my flashlight. Its thin beam cut through a corridor lined with columns disappearing into shadow. Water dripped somewhere far off, a steady tick that echoed back and forth as if the tunnel were breathing. At first, it was just empty silence. My boots scraped over old tiles stained with soot. Every sound I made came back doubled, warped, as though someone were walking just behind me. I told myself it was acoustics, but I kept glancing over my shoulder anyway. Then I found the carvings. Shallow etchings on the walls, rows of symbols, spirals, and claw-like marks gouged into the stone. Some looked fresh, edges sharp, as if whatever made them had passed through not long before. My stomach tightened, but curiosity pushed me deeper. The corridor widened into a vaulted hall, the ceiling arched high above, lost in blackness. In the center of the floor lay a dry fountain cracked in two, its basin full of dust. It felt like standing inside the skeleton of a cathedral. That's when the hum began. Low at first, like a power transformer buried underground. It pulsed against my ribs in slow, uneven beats. I tried recording it, but my camera flickered and died, battery drained, even though it had been fully charged. I should have turned back. Instead, I aimed my flashlight ahead and saw movement. Far down the hall, something shifted between the columns. A tall shape, hunched but fluid, its outline blacker than the shadows around it. When my beam swept across, it froze. For a heartbeat, we stared at each other across the darkness. Two orange sparks glowed where eyes should be. Then they blinked. The hum stopped. And the silence that followed felt like it had teeth. I couldn't move at first. Those glowing eyes held me like pins on an insect. My chest felt tight, as if the air had thickened into syrup. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, the thing straightened. Its head nearly brushed the arch above it. The claws at the ends of its arms clicked softly against the stone, like fingernails on glass. I stepped back, my boot scuffing across grit. The sound seemed to echo forever. The creature tilted its head at the noise, its jaw unhinging slightly, teeth glinting wetly. It made no growl, no hiss, just a low exhale, a breath that smelled of damp soil and rotting copper. I turned off my flashlight. Stupid instinct. Darkness swallowed everything. But in that blackness, I could still see the eyes, burning points, moving closer. I fumbled for my phone's light, but it wouldn't turn on. Dead. Every device, every battery had gone cold. That's when I noticed the carvings again. In the faint glow of its eyes, I could see the symbols along the columns now formed a pattern, a spiral leading deeper into the hall. My mind tried to make sense of it, but a strange pressure built behind my eyes, like a migraine. Whispers rose out of the hum, thin and insect-like, overlapping voices in a language I couldn't recognize. They weren't coming from the creature. They were coming from the stone. I stumbled backward, my shoulder hitting a column. It was warm. The stone was warm, like living skin. The voices pressed against me, trying to slip into my thoughts. The creature lunged, not fast, but with a predatory patience, like it knew exactly how far I could run. Its arms scraped the floor, claws leaving grooves. I bolted down a side passage without thinking, heart punching my ribs. The air grew thicker, colder. My breath condensed in front of me as mist. Behind me, claws dragged across walls, a slow pursuit. It wasn't rushing, it was hurting me. The passage opened into another chamber, a circular room ringed with arches, each leading to a black tunnel. In the center stood something like an altar made from piled stones, its surface etched with more spirals. The smell here was stronger, rot, iron, and something sweet like burnt sugar. I heard footsteps that weren't mine, soft, bare, padding across the tiles. Shapes gathered in the archways, thin silhouettes, some crawling on all fours, others standing hunched. Eyes glowed faintly in every direction. The whispers rose until they were almost words. My pulse hammered so loud it drowned everything else. There was no exit except the tunnels filled with those shapes. I pressed myself against the altar, searching for anything, a loose stone, a way up. Then a hand, not a claw, but a human hand, gripped my shoulder from behind. I spun around so fast I almost lost my footing. The hand that had grabbed me was pale, trembling, and covered in grime. A man stood there. At least, he looked like a man. His eyes were sunken and wide, his lips cracked and blue. He smelled like the tunnels. He put a finger to his mouth, a desperate shushing motion, then pointed to a narrow gap between two stones at the base of the altar. I dropped to my knees and saw a small opening, just big enough to squeeze through. The hum from the walls became a roar, drowning my heartbeat. The man whispered something in a hoarse voice, but I couldn't understand him. He pushed me toward the hole with surprising strength. Shapes shifted at the edge of the chamber. The tall creature had entered now, stooping under the arch, eyes glowing brighter than before. The others, those crawling silhouettes, moved closer, circling the altar. Their whispers had turned into a slow chant, rising and falling like the tide. I didn't hesitate. I crawled into the gap, scraping my elbows on the stone. The man tried to follow, but the opening seemed to shrink behind me. I heard him choke out a sound, half scream, half plea, then silence. The passage was so tight I had to drag myself forward on my stomach. Cold water seeped in from somewhere, soaking my clothes. I could still hear the chant through the stone, muffled but steady. Then suddenly, it stopped. The silence on the other side felt enormous. After what felt like forever, the tunnel widened. I tumbled out into a small circular chamber lit by a faint blue glow. In the center stood a pool of still water, perfectly round, reflecting the ceiling like a black mirror. Symbols ran around the edge, the same spirals, but these were carved deeper, sharper. The air smelled of wet earth and something ancient. I crawled to the pool and stared into it. My reflection was wrong, distorted, like it was moving independently of me. Its mouth opened, even though mine didn't. In a voice that wasn't mine, it whispered, "Stay." Behind me, the claws scraped stone again. The creature had followed. Its reflection appeared next to mine in the water, huge and hunched, its eyes like burning coals. But when I looked over my shoulder, there was nothing, just darkness. The reflection's hand reached out of the water, fingers dripping black liquid. It touched my wrist, ice cold. I don't remember pulling back. I don't remember standing up. I only remember running up and up through a stairwell that hadn't been there a moment before, light growing at the top like daylight. When I burst out onto the street, dawn was breaking. I was shaking, my clothes soaked, my phone dead. The grate behind me was gone, just solid brick. Now at night, when the house is quiet, I hear the hum again, faint under the floorboards. And sometimes in mirrors, my reflection still whispers, "Stay."